Welcome, dear friend. As you settle in and prepare for rest, let this gentle journey through Jesus' parables guide your mind to peaceful places. These stories of love, hope, and kindness are like soft whispers of truth, designed to soothe your heart and bring calm to your soul. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow His words to lead you into a restful sleep filled with serenity and grace. A gentle journey through the parables of Jesus. His words were like gentle rain, soft and nourishing, touching hearts and awakening kindness. Instead of loud commands, He chose stories, parables, that use simple images from everyday life to teach profound truths about love, hope, and grace. As you settle into a calm space, imagine walking along a peaceful path where each story is a shining lantern lighting your way, helping you see the kindness that blooms all around us. Jesus began to teach about the ways of the kingdom of heaven through stories that everyone could understand. He said, "A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown." Matthew 13 verses 3-8. This story gently reminds us that our hearts are like different kinds of soil. When we open ourselves to God's word with sincerity and faith, His love can take root and flourish, producing abundant life. He continued, "The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and went away." Matthew 13 verses 24-25, it speaks of the coexistence of good and evil in the world. Yet God's patience and grace are ever present, working quietly behind the scenes, until the time of harvest when everything will be made right. Then Jesus shared. He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches." Matthew 13 verses 31-32, from tiny beginnings, great things can grow. Faith, no matter how small it seems at first, can blossom into something strong and life-giving, offering shade and shelter to many. He added, He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough." Matthew 13 verse 33, the influence of God's kingdom spreads quietly but powerfully, transforming lives from within, much like the yeast that causes bread to rise. Jesus then spoke of something even more precious. "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field." Matthew 13 verse 44, the kingdom of God is a treasure beyond measure. Finding it is worth every sacrifice, filling our hearts with joy that surpasses worldly riches. He continued with a similar illustration. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Matthew 13 verses 45-46, this reminds us that the pursuit of God's kingdom is the greatest treasure we can seek, worth dedicating our lives to with unwavering devotion. He then told a story about the gathering of all people. He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in baskets, but threw the bad away." Matthew 13 verses 47-48, God's kingdom welcomes everyone, and in the end, all will be sorted with mercy and justice. Those who are prepared and open to His love will be gathered into eternal life. Jesus turned to speak about the value of every individual in His care. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Luke 15 verses 4 to 6, it's a picture of God's persistent love, always seeking us when we stray and rejoicing when we are found and restored. He illustrated the same truth with the story of a woman searching for her precious coin. Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me. I have found my lost coin." Luke 15 verses 8 to 9. Every single person is valuable in God's sight. When we come back to Him, there is celebration in heaven. Then Jesus shared the story of a father's boundless love. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Luke 15 verse 20. No matter how far we have wandered or how many mistakes we have made, God's love eagerly waits to forgive and restore us. His mercy is never exhausted. He explained the importance of forgiving others with this story. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answered, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Matthew 18 verses 21 to 22. Forgiveness is limitless in the kingdom of heaven. As we extend mercy, our hearts become more like God's, full of peace and grace. Jesus taught about the depth of his love with this image. "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." John 10 verse 11. He cares for each of us personally, willing to sacrifice everything for our safety and well-being. He further described the final judgment. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Matthew 25 verses 31 to 32. In this moment, our actions of kindness and mercy toward others become a reflection of our love for Christ. Every act of compassion leaves a gentle imprint on eternity. He emphasized that God's grace is always abundant and fair, so the last will be first, and the first will be last. Matthew 20 verse 16. God's love does not discriminate by timing or effort. His mercy is available to everyone, no matter where they are in life. And finally, he shared a story about using what he entrusts to us. His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." Matthew 25 verse 21. When we faithfully use our gifts in love, our lives are filled with joy, and we share in God's happiness. As this collection of stories draws to a close, remember that Jesus' words are invitations, calls to open our hearts to his love, to walk in forgiveness, and to trust in his mercy. Each parable gently reminds us that no matter what we have done or where we have been, God's love is always waiting with open arms, ready to forgive, restore, and fill us with peace. May these stories bring comfort and hope, guiding us into a deeper understanding of his boundless mercy. The parable of the forgiving father, embracing our mistakes with love. Imagine a father who has 2 children. One of them makes a mistake, wandering away and making poor choices. When the child returns home, feeling ashamed, the father runs to him with open arms, hugging him tightly and forgiving him completely. This story softly reminds us that God's love is like that Father's, full of mercy and compassion. No matter how many mistakes we make, God's forgiveness is always waiting, ready to embrace us and restore us with gentle kindness. Verse. Luke 15 verses 11 to 32. The parable of the lost coin. Finding joy in healing our hearts. Picture a woman searching her house carefully for a small, precious coin she has lost. When she finds it, she is filled with happiness and shares her joy with others. This story gently teaches us that even our small mistakes or wounds are precious to God. When we forgive ourselves and seek healing, God celebrates with us, restoring our peace and filling our hearts with joy. Verse. Luke 15 verses 8 to 10. The parable of the prodigal son. Coming home to love. Imagine a young man who leaves home, seeking adventure. He makes mistakes, spends all he has, and ends up lonely. When he decides to come back, expecting blame, his father meets him with open arms, forgiving and loving him fully. This story reminds us that God's love is never-ending. No matter how far we stray or how many times we fall, returning to God's love is always possible, and He welcomes us with open arms. Verse: Luke 15 verses 11 to 32. The parable of the sheep and the lost sheep. The joy of finding our way back. Think of a shepherd watching over his flock. One little sheep wanders away and gets lost. The shepherd searches patiently and gently brings the sheep home, rejoicing. This story softly teaches us that when we feel lost or misled, God is searching for us with love. Forgiving ourselves is like coming back to the shepherd's gentle care, restoring our peace and guiding us back to love. Verse: Luke 15 verses 3 to 7. The parable of the good shepherd. Tender care and forgiveness. Picture a shepherd who loves each of his sheep dearly. When a sheep gets lost or hurt, the shepherd leaves the others to find it, carrying it back with gentle hands. This story whispers that God's love is tender and forgiving. When we forgive ourselves, we are like the lost sheep that is found and carried home, restored and loved. Verse: John 10 verses 11 to 15. The parable of the unforgiving servant. Learning to forgive ourselves. Imagine a servant who is forgiven a huge debt by his master. But he refuses to forgive a small debt owed by a fellow servant. The master is upset and punishes him. This story gently teaches that forgiving ourselves is part of forgiving others. When we accept God's mercy for our mistakes, we can let go of shame and embrace peace. Verse: Matthew 18 verses 21 to 35. The parable of the pebble in the pond. Small acts of self-forgiveness. Imagine dropping a pebble into a calm pond. Ripples spread outward, calming the surface. When we forgive ourselves, those small acts ripple through our hearts, bringing peace and calm. This quiet story encourages us to be gentle with ourselves, knowing that self-forgiveness spreads kindness and love within us. A gentle reflection on self-forgiveness. As you breathe in and out softly, think of how forgiving ourselves is like opening a window to let in fresh, peaceful air. Remember, God's love is like a warm sun that shines on us, warming our hearts and melting away regret or shame. God's mercy is endless, and His love never runs out. When we forgive ourselves, we step into that love, allowing peace to fill every corner of our hearts. Rest now in this truth: you are loved beyond measure, just as you are. Now that we have reflected on the gentle wisdom found in Jesus' parables, stories that softly reveal the nature of God's kingdom and His boundless love, let us turn our hearts toward the writings of John. In his letters, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, we find words of reassurance, hope, and the profound truth of God's love made real in our everyday lives. These passages remind us of our identity as children of God and invite us to live in the confidence and peace that come from His unconditional mercy. Let us listen closely to these gentle words of truth and grace. The words of 1 John echo the truth of God's love and the hope we find in Him. It begins with a profound declaration. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. 1 John 3 verse 1. This verse affirms the depth of God's affection, calling us His children. Believing in His love brings a sense of belonging and peace, knowing we are part of His eternal family. John writes, Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. 1 John 4 verse 7. Living in love reflects our connection to God. The act of loving others is an outward sign of our relationship with Him, revealing His presence within us. He shares how God's love was demonstrated through action. This is how God showed His love among us. He sent His one and only Son into the world that we might live through Him. 1 John 4 verse 9. The sacrifice of Jesus is the ultimate expression of divine love, a gift that opens the door to new life and hope for everyone. John offers reassurance. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. 1 John 4 verse 18, in God's love, fear loses its hold. Resting in His mercy provides a foundation of security, allowing peace to settle deeply within. He encourages believers with words of future hope. Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like Him, for we shall see Him as He is. 1 John 3 verse 2, a future of divine transformation awaits, an unfolding of God's glory in every believer, filling the heart with anticipation and trust. Finally, John concludes with a profound affirmation. And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. 1 John 4 verse 16, living in love means remaining close to God's presence. His love becomes the foundation upon which we build our lives, radiating peace and kindness. As you settle into this moment of reflection, let the truth of God's unwavering love wash over you like a calm river. His mercy is everlasting, His presence constant. Rest in the assurance that in His love you are secure, cherished, and called to walk in kindness and hope each day. In his brief letter, John begins with words of affection and truth. He writes, "The elder, to the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth, which lives in us and will be with us forever." 2 John 1 verses 1 to 2, this opening softly affirms the bond of love rooted in the truth of God's eternal word. It reminds us that our connection to one another is grounded in the love and grace that abide forever. John continues, "Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love." 2 John 1 verse 3, these words serve as a gentle blessing, encouraging us to walk in grace, mercy, and peace, gifts that flow from God's presence and overflow into our daily lives. He cautions, "Watch out that you do not lose what we have worked for, but that you may be rewarded fully." 2 John 1 verse 8, this reminder invites us to remain steadfast in our faith and in the love of Christ, so that our lives reflect His truth and we receive His abundant blessings. John emphasizes the importance of truth and love working together. "And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another." 2 John 1 verse 5, love, rooted in truth, is the foundation of our walk with God. It's a call to foster genuine kindness that reflects His heart. He concludes with a word of warning but also of hope. "If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take them into your house or welcome them. Anyone who welcomes them shares in their wicked work." 2 John 1 verses 10 to 11, this gentle caution reminds us to stay rooted in the truth of Christ's message, so that our lives remain guided by His love and wisdom. In his brief letter, John begins with words of encouragement and affection. He writes, "The elder, to my dear friend Gaius, whom I love in the truth. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." 3 John 1 verses 1 to 2, this opening embraces the harmony of physical well-being and spiritual health, reminding us that both are precious gifts from God's loving hand. John continues, "It gave me great joy to have some brothers come and tell about your faithfulness to the truth and how you continue to walk in the truth." 3 John 1 verse 3, hearing of faithful living brings a deep sense of peace, encouraging us to remain steadfast in our walk with Christ and to nurture integrity in our daily lives. He affirms, "Dear friend, you are faithful in what you are doing for the brothers and sisters, even though they are strangers to you." 3 John 1 verse 5, acts of love and kindness toward others, especially those we do not know well, reflect the heart of Christ and contribute to a community built on grace. John highlights a desire for genuine hospitality. "They have told the church about your love. Please send them on their way in a manner that honors God." 3 John 1 verses 6 to 8, welcoming others in the Spirit of Christ is a gentle act of service, fostering unity and extending God's kindness beyond our immediate circle. He offers a sober reminder about those who oppose love. Diotrephes, who loves to be first, will not welcome us. So we must be careful to imitate what is good. 3 John 1 verses 9 to 11. This calls us to remain humble, choosing God's way over pride, and to focus on embodying goodness and humility in our interactions. He concludes with a prayerful wish. Peace to you. The friends here send their greetings. Greet the friends there by name. 3 John 1 verse 15. A simple blessing of peace and fellowship, inviting us to extend warm greetings to those around us, fostering connections rooted in love.